People say if you whistle after dark, you aren't making music, you're posting your location. I used to laugh at that, because rules sound dramatic when the house is quiet and the fridge hums like a lullaby. Then I whistled without thinking, and something with a better memory than mine answered back. It was a small thing. Late walk with my dog, trash day in our neighborhood, lid slapping a bin somewhere down the block. I have this habit where I whistle the first 3 notes of a song when I'm thinking, nothing loud, just a breath with shape. My grandma would smack my wrist and say not at night, but my grandma wasn't there and the street was empty. Street lights puddled in the wet from sprinklers, the kind of shiny darkness that looks safer than it is. I did it again, the same 3 notes, more out of boredom than anything else. From behind the low hedge on the corner, those notes came back, almost the same, but with the last one bent sharp like a question. At first I thought coins dropping, or a bird, or my dog's tags hitting his collar. My dog stopped breathing for a second the way dogs do when they stack all their senses. I told him heel because that's what you say when you don't know who you're talking to. The hedge didn't move. Something past it did. A weight shifting on concrete, a scrape like a shoe with grit stuck in the tread. I didn't whistle back, but the answer came anyway, the notes shorter this time and closer. We turned, not running, just fast walking the way pride does when it borrows fear's shoes. At my gate I fumbled keys and whistled through my teeth by accident, that same 3-note habit like a nervous tick. From the dark between my car and the trash cans, something replied without waiting for me to finish. I didn't look to see if it was a person because I wanted it to be one too badly. I got the door open, got the dog in, slammed the bolt like it mattered to the air. Inside, everything sounded like it was pretending not to listen. I stood still long enough for my pulse to stop hiding in my ears. Right then, 2 notes rose from below my kitchen window, soft, not quite mine, as if someone were learning my shape by ear. I didn't whistle again for months after that. I know how it sounds when you hear it secondhand. I knew how it sounded while it was happening. People explain things to themselves so they can sleep, and I did that too. I told myself the echo off the brick wall carried it, that some neighbor decided to be a jerk, that my dog's stiff tail meant nothing. But if you want the real warning, it's this: when something learns your pattern, it doesn't need your permission to practice it. I broke the rule again a year later, at a job that made me pretend I wasn't afraid of the dark. I was working nights at a little family restaurant off the highway, the kind people call cozy when the lights are on. Out back by the dumpster, it's just a rectangle of broken glass and grease stains, and the wind whips through the alley like it knows your name. I took the trash out after close, past midnight, phone balanced on the ledge streaming a podcast so the empty didn't feel so loud. I don't even remember doing it, just a little 3-note whistle through my teeth, the same tune I always use when my hands are full. The alley answered from behind the grease bin with 2 notes, low and soft, like someone respectful repeating your name. I said hello because it might have been a person, and I would feel foolish later if I ran from someone having a smoke. No one stood up.
No enverglowed.
Just a whistle back, this time exact, like an audio mirror. I dragged the bag faster, and the plastic rasped the ground loud enough I hoped to drown out my pulse. Halfway to the lid, I realized the sound behind me didn't match my steps. It was like a kid trying to learn to walk beside you, watching your heels and always a half beat late. I pushed the lid up, threw the bag, and the hinge squealed in this long, high note that blended into a whistle that wasn't the hinge at all. I'm not proud of the sound I made when my nerves took over. I dropped the lid and ran for the back door, and that's when the polite part of it ended. Something whistled over my left shoulder, close enough that a breath brushed my ear, the final note wrong again, like it wanted me to fix it. I hit the latch with my hip and fell inside, and the strip of light under the door drew a clean line between us. My manager heard the door bang and came over with a dish towel on her shoulder. I told her some guy was in the alley. We listened. Nothing moved, not even the wind. And then, as if the empty needed to show off, those same 3 notes slid under the door like smoke. My manager grabbed the broom and yelled that the cops were on the way, because that's what you say to the unknown. The whistle stopped, not like it got scared, more like it lost interest in the game. We checked the cameras later and saw only me, the lid, a slice of alley, and a shadow too thin to be a person stretched the wrong way. I quit that job 2 weeks later for reasons that looked good on paper. Maybe it was a person, you'll say, or a bird with good timing, or metal tired of holding its own weight. I wanted those too. But sleep changes shape when you've taught the dark your melody. If you think it ends at the door, it doesn't. A whistle is a breadcrumb. If you drop it after midnight, something learns the trail. And some things love practice. 2 months after the alley, I drove out to the reservoir to prove to myself that the world still ran on rules. February had left frost in the reeds and a thin film on the hood. I parked by the map board, opened a thermos my cousin forgot in my trunk, and let the radio mumble the late scores. The lot was mostly empty. One Ranger truck idling, a couple arguing softly by the fence, and me pretending Coco could fix a nervous system. I wasn't going to stay long. I just wanted the sky to be bigger than my walls. I have the kind of brain that fills silence like a leak. Without thinking, I let that same 3-note whistle slip out of me, a habit shaped by boring nights and busy hands. The lake took it, and the dam gave it back thin and late, the sort of echo that makes you feel accompanied. I tried again, a little louder, because that's how you test a space. The answer came from lower and left, near the waterline where no one stood. Same notes, wrong last bend, like a person repeating your name with a mouth not made for it. A second answer rose from the right, closer and quick, half a step off like footsteps trying to sync with mine. I put the Coco down and got in the car without turning my back to the trees. The third whistle came from behind me by the map board, soft and patient, as if something had found me on a grid and wanted me to know. I shut the door, hit the locks, and gripped the wheel until the leather remembered my shape. When I finally drove, the sound paced my left fender like a car I refused to see. After that, I started collecting rules like recipes. Don't whistle after dark. Don't whistle near water. Don't repeat a pattern 3 times. My friend Mara laughed sadly and said her grandmother taped those to the fridge. No whistling in the kitchen after sunset. No whistling in hallways. Never whistle to call a person inside. I thought it was folklore shaped into etiquette until Mara phoned me from her stairwell, breath stringy, saying someone was walking the courtyard whistling the same 3 notes under every door like they were checking attendance. Her building wraps a square of grass like a theater. Every door faces in, and every voice becomes a show. From her landing you can hear 10 apartments breathe. The whistle moved along the railings slow as a lullaby, pausing, then sliding on when a deadbolt answered. Tenants shouted. Someone cried. Someone asked what they wanted. The tune never changed. It wasn't a catcall or a song seeking applause. It was the patient, polite repetition of a name that wasn't a name, the sort of shape you offer to see what says yes. We stayed on the phone and tracked it by echo, counting landings while the courtyard turned into a speaker. When it reached her floor, it passed her door, then came back, like it had miscounted and didn't want to be rude. She looked through the peephole and saw no one, because peepholes are for believing. The whistle pressed close and smudged into breath. That's when the building's fire alarm chirped once, that test cough, and the whistle answered it, neat as an impression. Then it moved toward the laundry room where drains make their own weather. Maintenance found wet footprints where the floor never shines. Too small to belong to men and too long to belong to kids. 5 toes ahead of a smear like a heel that forgot itself. Mara slept at my place for a week and banned songs with whistles. I didn't argue, not because I believed every inch of it, but because belief had become something I preferred to do in daylight. I wish I could swear I never slipped again. Last summer, flat on my back under the box fan that clicks every 7 turns, I shaped a note without sound just to see if my mouth remembered. The fan chopped it. The vent above the bookshelf returned a single clean reply. I killed the fan and the house rang with nothing. I stood on a chair, touched the grate, and felt only warm dust, the sort that smells like attics and old envelopes. That night I dreamed a field and woke tasting pennies. Condensation beaded the bathroom mirror from a shower I hadn't taken. 3 neat tracks ran from the top right corner down to the sink, as if a patient finger had drawn them while practicing breath control. I apologized to the air out of habit. The lines thickened as if the mirror exhaled back. People ask why I don't move. Where would I go that night doesn't open its mouth for songs. Apartments stack, houses stretch, but all of them breathe through windows, vents, and drains. The dark isn't a place. It's a time that finds you. So I taped my grandmother's rule to the fridge, keep salt by the door, and hung a little bell where my keys should go. When the street gets loud after midnight, I hum instead of whistle, and I hum different every time so the map tears itself. If you forget and it slips out of you, don't answer what answers. Don't correct the last note to be helpful. Don't do it again just to prove you aren't scared. Whatever it is learns in threes. Give it nothing to practice. Be rude. Close the door. Turn on every ugly light. If you have to make a sound, speak to a person with a face. And if the notes come back from where no person stands, remember the cheapest wisdom that still buys you a night's sleep. Never whistle at night. You don't owe the dark your name, and you definitely don't owe it a song that shows it where you live tonight.